Question, Jack. What is hot, dangerous, and sends vermin to hell?
Me, dumbass.
If I had a nickel for every first-person shooter that came out in 2007 that featured an unwilling protagonist trying to escape an underwater installation while being manipulated by other characters into furthering their own goals, I'd have 2 nickels. Red Ocean came out just 5 months before BioShock and was the third and final game developed by Collision Studios before they were acquired by Black Lion. The other 2 games were Augustus im Auftrag des Kaisers, which I can only describe as Thief, but in ancient Rome and worse, and Napoleon, a lackluster real-time tactics game that featured scenes from the 2002 TV series with the same name. I'm getting my ass kicked by lizards in another game, so let's unwind by lobbing grenades at a submarine with the same laughter and joy as Tanya from Red Alert 2. Our protagonist... Seriously, that's his name? Our protagonist, Jack Hard, is an ex-marine who's passionate about deep-sea diving and playing salacious RPGs made before 2010. He's hired a fellow diver to explore an old World War II submarine, and at this point I expect the other guy's name to be Mike Harder. We stumble upon the entrance to an underground complex big enough that it needs trains to move things around. It's here we make contact with an operative and find out Mike was a CIA agent. He gets shot and we have to take on his mission to eliminate the terrorists that now operate from this old Soviet underwater base before they unleash a doomsday weapon on the world. While you can still find the game on my abandonware, it has 3 issues we need to resolve before you can start playing this. First of all, the UI won't let you set a resolution higher than 1280 by 1024, and even then it will throw an error when you try to apply the settings. So, just find the Red Ocean ini file in Documents Red Ocean and change the resolution to match your monitor. Problem 2 arises once you start the game and see only the tip of your knife on the right side of the screen. With the new resolution, we need a different field of view setting. Back in the ini file, add the camera FOV setting. Something like 90 makes the game look great, but you have this long spooky arm. 45 or lower and you're too zoomed in, which combined with the character's drunken walk gives you motion sickness. Sea sickness? So a good compromise for me was putting it on 60, where you're not too zoomed in and the weapons don't look as silly. Your knife will be duct taped to the outside of your hand regardless. And the last issue. You'll start the game and play 1 or 2 levels. The atmosphere is a bit lonely, but I guess that's just the game. You then reach your first boss fight, and the head movements feel like he's talking to me, but you don't hear anything, and I even have subtitles enabled. And it's here you realize the voice lines don't work on the English version of the game, so back to the ini file, you change the game's language to German. The menu is in German, and your HP is now Gesundheit, but the voice lines are in English. This changes the experience completely, as you can actually hear the story now.
Damn, my boat!
You can't park that there, mate.
Besides those minor issues, the cursor will get stuck in the main menu should you move the mouse too fast, and the only 2 pre-rendered cutscenes are really bored. There's a bit too much green in this Red Ocean, so just play the cutscenes from the game files, because I swear VLC can play any format on this planet. Visually, I think the game still holds up quite well, even if the environment is a bit restricted. The underwater premise should open up so many nice environments and interactions, but it's really underused. The box art claims these are sensational water effects, and they do look quite nice, but you get to dip your toes a grand total of 3 times. And it's always for short sections, never to explore a larger area. To be honest, I don't think I spent an entire minute in total swimming in a game about underwater terrorists. The places you do frequent in this old Soviet installation are a lot of corridors and tunnels. Many tunnels. Besides those, we have transport hubs with trains going everywhere, geothermal vents, more cargo hubs, a giant centrifuge, abandoned laboratories, submarine harbors, old mining tunnels, strange reactors, and the even stranger plasma tower that makes me feel like a moth. This base was made during the Cold War, but there's a certain sci-fi element with the magical plasma from the Earth's crust and of course the plasmatic rock.
Jack, the plasmatic rock is jamming the radio communication.
The only enemies you get to fight here are the United Arms terrorists, and while they have a few different uniforms, that's all the model variety we get. You don't even get to see the protagonist. All we know about him is that he went deep-sea diving with fingerless gloves on. The game's not shy when it comes to explosions, and it really likes to stack them. They haven't done the best job mixing everything, but it's a decent soundscape with trains, doors, water effects, things blowing up in the background, and the various machines running. You're still mostly going to hear footsteps on the metal floor and gunfire, which sounds decent. You can even hear the pings as the empty shells hit the floor. The bubble gun sounds a bit weird, but gets the job done. And the laser weapon doesn't make the same noises Star Wars conditioned me with, but looks amazing. Like I said before, voice lines will only play when the game's running on the German language. Everyone did a great job, from the basic United Arms terrorist
Intruder, the CIA agent.
Are you serious? I've worked for them. You know, he sounds like a wannabe hero. No way is he a secret agent.
At least he's as secret as you are.
to Preston on the radio.
Jack, you are now in the lowest section of the plant.
The only problems I have are with Jack, the protagonist, who talks like he just woke up drunk before recording this.
I'll get Hammerson and then we get the hell out of here.
I think you're a bit too easygoing.
Bullshit.
And Corvin, the antagonist who's perpetually angry at me and everyone else.
Get out of the way! Whoever you are, you can't stop us! All squads, find him! Kill this son of a bitch!
His minions don't deserve this abuse, and they remind me of another game. In terms of music, this game has a few tracks it likes to loop over the gameplay. It's mostly action pieces. Groovy track in one specific place of one specific mission. With the way everything's mixed, you'll hear music, gunfire, bass announcements, enemy quips, and Preston on the radio, sometimes all at the same time.
Did you hear about rumors of an incident at U-42?
Approaching the
Attention, security
You need to
personnel.
cross.
Unauthorized airlock activity reported in Sector 5.
The game sports a physics engine, and this means two things. Ammo crates are kicked out of my reach whenever I try to break them with a knife, and enemies will ragdoll like crazy when you blow them up, which gets you the occasional funny pose. Speaking of explosions, I swear Jack, an ex-marine, can't throw grenades to save his life. He just drops it in front of him like half a meter, and I have my own theory why. He's drunk the whole game, and here's my proof.
Bullshit.
Every footstep is a challenge as he wobbles whenever he walks around. He's slurring his words, every single dialogue sounds like he's angry they threw him out of a bar.
Stop. Which way do I have to take? Preston, what the hell's the problem now? Not again.
He can't hold a knife properly in his hand and can't throw grenades far because his hand-eye coordination is impaired. And his only emotional moment is when they sunk his boat, presumably where he kept his booze stash.
Damn, my boat.
And that's why he's always angry. It probably doesn't help that every person he meets shouts at him and tries to shoot him. The enemy AI is quite basic and transparent. They just walk in a straight line towards you, their gaze always fixed on you like an owl. At least it's fun to shoot them, and to do that we get 8 weapons. While most of them look like the arsenal you'll find in a Counter-Strike source match, knife, pistol, Desert Eagle, shotgun, submachine gun and an AK-47, you do also have 2 special weapons. The bubble gun, which deals a lot of damage in the form of slow-moving bubbles that bounce around the room. You can fire 3 of these bad boys down a corridor and listen as the screams start to roll in. Sharing the same energy ammo is the L100 laser rifle. This has a nicer design, an aggressive weapon with high attack speed and damage. It sounds great, but the projectiles are coming out of your forehead instead of the weapon itself. Ammo, health and grenade crates are plentiful, and sometimes you find an armory or a storage room and it's just so satisfying to pick everything up. Exploring around the facility, you'll find secret areas with ammo or weapon damage upgrades. But I wish it had a sound to alert you when you'd find them. It's just a small message in German at the bottom of the screen. I still have the secret area from Jedi Academy as my notification and message sound for years now. So overall, the game is fun, but it's very short. Around 2 hours of very linear gameplay, like a carnival ride. You go along the rails and the animatronics pop out of the woodwork from green force fields. Still, the gunplay reminds me a bit of the first Far Cry game. So, let's have a look at the 7 missions the game has to offer. It all starts with a bang, as Jack is following Hammerson into the facility. We find him dead on the floor, but somehow we get reception down here and Preston becomes our handler. We are unwilling to work with him, but we don't have a choice since our boat is on the ocean floor. There is this really nice section with a tunnel that gets flooded and we have to escape, but it's way too short and it's the only time you get to use the harpoon to shoot 2 guys. The Russian Federation built this facility during the Cold War to research thermoplasma winds emerging from the Earth's core, so naturally we find ourselves in a geothermal vent. Preston guides us to the submarine harbor, as that could be our only way to escape this place.
Better tell me who these guys are.
That doesn't matter right now.
Strangely, Corvan, the main villain, also has my phone number and gets to bully me whenever he wants.
Whoever you are, you can't stop us.
A few cargo trains and storage depots later, we get to fight him. Between the minions that keep pouring in, Corvan launching bubbles from the catwalks, and barrels chain exploding in the room, you have a really chaotic fight. He survives, but we get his weapon to use for the rest of the game.
Damn it! Kill him now, will ya? You losers! I have better things to do than hunting rats.
Corvan keeps sealing off sections, forcing me to progress through the cantina and the centrifuge on my way to the submarine. We find a shotgun, a Desert Eagle, and an AK, but not all that much ammo for them in the start. I wish the game would automatically switch to a new weapon when you'd find it, since I randomly found the Deagle while scrolling through my guns. And I'm glad I did, because this bad boy might have the biggest muzzle flash and recoil, but it nails people to the cave walls. It's time for the second underwater section, where you're using up oxygen even during the cutscene. Good thing we only need to swim a few meters to reach a ladder. Jack is having another meltdown because Preston keeps calling me.
What the hell's the problem now? Not again.
I've noticed a sea quake.
Yeah, another settlement needs my help. We keep moving from lab to lab as Corvan started the reactor, causing parts of the facility to collapse. There are semi-destructible environment pieces, as you can blow up the concrete off of these pillars, and the enemies love to flashbang me over and over again throughout the whole game. We reach the submarine pen only to meet this bad boy. He sets the trend for the rest of the boss fights in the game. You have to break these energy clutches as enemies spawn infinitely from the sub. They really are packed in there like sardines in a clown car. We blow up the only submarine from the base, and Preston admits this was his intention all along. We're now stuck in this fight with the terrorists until the end, as there's no other way to get off of the station. I'm not saying this game has the occasional bugs, but I did play whack-a-mole with a shoe for 5 minutes. The mining tunnels are a bit of a maze, with minecarts instead of trains this time. Still, we reach the next boss fight, which is the same laser, but this time it's mounted on the ceiling. Same song and dance, looking for the energy clutches while running around from the evil red beams that try to cook me. By now, most of the enemies are elite troops with laser weapons. Messing around with the reactor lets us annoy Corvan even more.
Pardon. Don't touch anything? Oops.
And the final stretch takes part under the light of the plasma tower's cold sun, which looks a bit like the shrink ray from Vital Device. We get to Corvan's doomsday weapon for another intense energy clutch fight. At least this one has a second phase with another level of blue tubes. Once you smash the last one, we get to see Corvan plunge into the fiery explosion of his ruined weapon. Actually, let me switch to the broken version of this, so it looks like he's burning in hell. This is what my mom said it would happen if I kept playing those damn satanic video games. In the end, we make it out before the whole base implodes, and hopefully someone sends a boat to rescue us. The end. Not a lot of character development going on here, besides Jack finally accepting he has to finish the CIA's mission to get out. I guess it's alright for their first game which isn't tied to a movie or a TV series, but criminally short considering they were asking for around 40 euros at launch, or about 2 hours of gameplay. Give it a try if you have a couple of hours to kill. It's a product of a time where you could call the developer's hotline to resolve any issues you had with the game. Can you imagine someone like Ubisoft implementing that? It would make their games profitable off of the phone charges alone. 3 out of 5 energy clutches. Thanks for watching. Next video is probably going to be an RTS one, and with more than 130 games in the forgotten backlog, I shouldn't be saying this, I did ask everyone in the past for RTS games they'd like to see covered. But I wanted to expand that to any old game you'd like to see regardless of genre. I do read each comment and I appreciate all of them. You're all 10 out of 10 Askamoids. See you next time.